the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. In one corner, we have the greatest thing on God's green earth. No, we're not talking about money, Mary Jane, or Popeye Spinach. He is the tranquil dart of Ringside Society and Delaware's greatest American hero. And whenever he goes to Taco Bell, he orders a chief burrito because he just loves the combination of chicken and beef. He is Rob Bass, and you are not. In the second quarter, we have the monarch of Mardi Gras, the Baroness of Bourbon Street. Whenever she's not co-hosting Ringside Society, she goes on crazy misadventures such as shopping for DeLoreans, dressing up as the big boss man, and trying to arrest people to give them hard time. And she once wore a cowboy hat and danced around to Old Town Road by Lil Nas X, Louisiana's own Kathy Knight. And in the third corner, we have that ocean crossing, straight up bossing, flight catching, shot glass snatching. Where's he going next? Nobody knows. 3 continents down, 3 more to go. The worldwide starboy, Remy Blue. And our special guest tonight for our season 5 premiere. Man, I never thought I'd see the day when I put up a whole hand. 5, King Kong Bundy. 5, Big E. Our special guest is a man who is one half, 1/3, one of the coolest stables you've ever seen in Texas. The Cool. That's right. That group of individuals that made wearing a scarf and sipping on your favorite latte, rocking some of the most designer glasses, a cool thing. And he is also the owner of one of Texas's newest, hottest promotions out there. Kathy gets to go to them all the time. I'm jealous. New Texas Pro. Everybody, welcome to the show, the Sheriff, Kiefer Bartek.
Woo! Come on, guys. How we doing?
Great. I got to say, Kiefer, it's an honor to have you on here. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We know that, as it's a new year and you got a lot of things, you're planning out for the new year, especially this year being the Jordan year for everybody, not for those born 23 years ago, but you got a lot of stuff planned, a lot of people to see, a lot of things to do, a lot of stuff to make happen like a captain. How you doing otherwise?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really excited about 2023. I think we had a great 2022 at New Texas Pro Wrestling, and we just got to keep building on it, man. I'm super excited about the future for myself as a wrestler and for my company that I run. So
I gotta say, I've seen some of those flyers and I'm like, man, I gotta make my way down to Texas, man. I mean, I know Kathy, I gotta say this, you got something great going on there, because if Kathy can drive like 5-6 hours from Louisiana all the way to Texas, just support y'all. Not flying, driving, that says a lot about y'all. And I'm actually curious about, what's going on down there. I know about reality wrestling. She loves reality wrestling. Of course, that's where I know you and Cameron Cole from. And I know that the greatness that they bring out as well in terms of athletes and shows and so on. With New Texas Pro, I'm definitely curious as to how it would be to see it live and in person as well, too.
Yeah, man. Think about Texas in general is there's so much talent here, not just, here in Houston, but, across the state. We've got talent in Dallas, in Austin, in San Antonio, in Laredo, in McAllen, Lubbock, Abilene, everywhere, every city in Texas, there's some talent here. And, I'm just blessed to be able to work with such great talent and give them a platform to kind of shine. And, we've just, these last few years, we've just taken off and kind of been the one of the hottest wrestling promotions in the entire state of Texas. So, I just feel blessed to get to work with such amazing people and get to give them an opportunity to, again, just showcase their abilities. And a lot of these people I've seen across the state or other places, and they kind of were diamonds in the rough that a lot of people around the country didn't know about. And you just try to find those people that, have great attitudes, want to work hard, want to be, want to fulfill their dreams. And you just kind of put them in the right situations with the right people and you see them shine. And, some people have gone on to win championships at NXT and other people, get flown around the country everywhere. Every weekend they're one. I think this weekend they're in San Francisco one day and Corpus Christi the next day. I think the next week they're going to be in Chicago and New York. I mean, you just see the people that you work with on a monthly basis just everywhere in the entire country now. So it's been really cool. It's been a real interesting journey, but with the talent that you work with, it's hard to not make a splash on the independent scene.
Oh yeah, definitely. Y'all have definitely been churning out some of the best. Roxanne Perez, of course, from Texas. I'm actually still amazed that we were actually able to have her on the show. AQA,
Yeah.
and it's something about Texas that funny story. I don't think I've ever told. I know I never told you this. Kathy and Rob, I don't think I ever told y'all this, but if I did, then I apologize. Old age is setting in. I tend to forget stuff. But one of y'all's stars, AQA, was actually the inspiration for me actually starting this making it finally happen after,
Really?
6 years of, because technically we're 10 years old. We started off as a brand in 2013, but then, life happened and okay, the Facebook group was just there. And then eventually it was one time I saw her, I saw that match with her and Hyan on Reality Wrestling. I was like, man, that is a classic.
Yeah.
I remember that to this day. And I was like, something? I should be interviewing women like them. And then boom, here we are now, going on 4 years later as a podcast, still doing our thing. So it's something about Texas, man. And I've seen your resume. You've wrestled quite a few people. You wrestled against, of course, you wrestled against your own tag team partner, Cameron Cole.
Yes. Yep.
You wrestled against Dynamite, JJ Blake.
Yes.
You had a really huge guy, Sam Stackhouse, a man I would not want no smoke with.
Feud of the year. Some people say feud of the year at Texas in 2022, me and Sam Stackhouse. So that was cool.
And then, of course, you also had Rachel Rose, who makes many people bend the knee. I don't know what made you actually want to actually wrestle her, because I would not want no piece of her either. But hey, you went in there and you did the thing,
Yeah. Let me first, AQA, man, such a wonderful human being. I've got nothing but great things to say about Angela. We still talk to this day. I just shoot her a text and just, see how she's doing. Just couldn't be more proud of her to see her growth. Literally, I think I was there on day one there at Row, and to see, her get signed to NXT, then her get signed with AEW and everything between that, and just to see that growth as a person and as a wrestling talent. She's just an incredible person. Whatever Angela decides to do in the future, she's going to be great at it. And, I always wish her luck, and I always just check in on her to see how she's doing. I've probably wrestled pretty much everybody in this state at this point. Rachel Rose, somebody that another person that I saw early on at Reality Wrestling. I knew she had something about her that just kind of made me kind of take interest with her. I don't know if a lot of you or any of y'all know this, but she actually, her first anything in wrestling, she was my hairdresser when I was still like in the cool. I had the man bun and everything. And so I was like, look, hey, you come with me on the indies and you could just be my hairdresser and you could just kind of see how things go, see how like promotions outside of Reality Wrestling are run, and we'll just see how this goes. And so she probably did that for about probably like 6 months. And then she actually had her first match at Heavy Metal Wrestling in San Antonio as she was refereeing at Reality Wrestling. And I knew eventually, if she ever got good enough, I think we would square off in the middle of the ring. And I think she's surpassed all of my expectations as far as the talent is concerned. She's done incredible things, not just here in Texas. She was the first ever Deadlock women's world champion, which is a pretty buzzy independent promotion in North Carolina. She's gotten looks from AEW and from other promotions as well. They really were like, hey, we like this girl. I think one day she'll probably be signed with a major promotion. I would be surprised. I would be actually very surprised if she's not signed with a major promotion, within the next couple of years. So, Cam Cole's another great talent. We go a very, very long ways back. We've actually both started wrestling or training at Books about the same month, I think, in January of 2014. And yeah, we've just all kind of evolved and done our own things since the Cool. And we've both gone our separate ways and been successful in our own ways. And maybe one day. Actually, I'm stepping back in the ring with Cam this month and Inspire in Austin, Texas. So, good friends, better enemies, something like that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, if you guys reunite as the Cool, I'm gonna crack out the scarf back, and I'm gonna get my latte and be like, I'm saying, I was doing that at one point.
Need the glasses, the fancy coffee, the scarf, all of it,
And people, if you're gonna do the Cool thing, you can't have any kind of coffee. You have to have the fancy coffee, like
absolutely.
Starbucks. Whatever coffee house is not a chain, you got to go there and get their top notch.
If you're going to the gas station to get coffee, look, don't try to be part of the Cool. So
definitely. You see, y'all heard it from the man himself. So yeah. So let's take a bit of a time traveling trip back, Kiefer. And I gotta ask you, what was the match or the event that you saw in wrestling that made you become a fan and made you go, yo, you know something? Y'all got a fan of me. I'm in.
Man, I don't know if there was ever one moment. I know that everyone always has that, like, everyone has that time that they remember watching wrestling and they're just like, this is it, Shawn Michaels winning the championship, or I don't know. There's a lot nowadays. I talk to our kids at our training facility, and they're telling me like, oh, when the Shield broke up, I was watching that, and that's when I was like, yes, this is when I want to start. This is when I'm starting wrestling. I'm like, geez, that was like a few years ago. It seems like I don't, what I'm saying. I remember watching wrestling for like 20 years before that. But I remember actually watching wrestling when I was a kid at my grandparents' house, and like WWF superstars used to come on Saturday or Sunday mornings. And my oldest brother, Judson, he was such a big wrestling fan too. So like the video games on like the Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo and 64 and all that stuff, like we would always just play that. And it was just, a lot of kids kind of grow out of pro wrestling phase, I guess, in their life. And I just never did. I mean, every videotape or DVD or any wrestling show that came on television, I was just all about it. I wanted to consume it as much as possible as a kid, and it just, like I said, never went away. I just always loved it. I didn't think it was even possible for me to become a wrestler, just because I looked at these people in such a larger than life personas and stuff. I was just like, there's no way that I could become something like this. So I'm just it just happened. And then, when I was 24, I went to Books, and then, everything just fell into place, and here I am now. So.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Hey, but something, the great thing is you believed in yourself, even when you thought you couldn't become a pro wrestler, and you made it happen. And I got to say, congrats on that. I mean, I know it's been years, but congrats on making it happen. Very inspirational story.
Well, I think a big part of it was actually when I was younger. I used to be a really big kid. Like I played offensive line in high school, and I lost a lot of weight right before I got into wrestling. So I had like a ton of confidence in myself, and I believed in myself. And over time, and a bunch of things going on in your life, I put some weight back on. Running wrestling shows will definitely add probably take a few years off of your life. And I've actually dropped 40 pounds over this last year too. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, that confidence, and just, you can go and do the things that you put your mind to, what I'm saying? And anybody's really capable of doing it. It's just taking that first step and just really, just believing in yourself and just making it happen, just being consistent and keep pushing forward, even on those days that you don't think you can do it,
Yeah, but still, man. I mean, it's still great that you actually made it happen, and you ended up going on to win the reality of wrestling tag team championships with Cameron Cole, another great guy who Would not surprise me if eventually he gets signed too, because the man is hella talented and he's
Absolutely.
doing his thing. I've seen him all over. It's always a shock when you see somebody in another promotion. Like I used to watch the West Coast Wrestling Connection, which is over in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, when I saw Cameron Cole coming out, I'm like, yo, like I just saw him out here. Like, what is he doing over here? Or Oregon? Yeah. How did that? And then I see him over in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I'm like, dude, he was just in Oregon. He's like, now he's in California. How did yo, this guy's gonna go far.
Yeah.
Y'all definitely made the tag team the tag team win happen, with the reality wrestling titles. So what was it like actually getting to hold, like you guys do your thing, you get the win, and then you hear that announcement and new reality wrestling tag team champions, the Cool. What was going through your mind? Were you like nervous, like, okay, now we got a target on our backs? Or were you like over the moon? You were like, yo, we made it, man. We're in the same category as Fly Deaf and
we came before Fly Deaf. Thank you very much.
My bad, got my time. Okay, the Lockharts.
Yes,
the Lockharts. We were before. We were in the same category as the Lockharts and several others. Like, what was going through y'all's minds, at that time?
Me and Cam worked really hard for those. I think we'd already been training for about 2.5 years at that point in time, and if it wasn't us, there was maybe a couple of people that might have been at that gym more than us, more days than us. I mean, we definitely put the time and the work in. We definitely both loved wrestling, and we both, want to be successful in this business. And I think winning the tag titles, it was, the first of many titles that we both have gone on to win. It just kind of was validation that everything that we were doing was worth it. All the time, all the time at the gym, time training, time away from family, because he's from Oregon. That's why he was at West Coast Connections, because that's where he's from. So he had family and friends up there, and he knew that promoter before he moved out to Houston. But, all the time and effort that we put in, at least for me, it was just validation that Booker trusted us enough to, put us in the same category, because we beat Ryan Davidson and Alex Reigns, who now wrestles as Austin Reddick, for the tag titles. And they were two veterans of the game at the time. So to entrust myself and Cam to be tag champions and to carry that, banner on, even though we only held it for a month, it was still cool. It's like I said, validation for everything that we did at the time. And I wish that we could have probably done more at that point in time with the Cool at Books. But it was cool, man. Just one of those moments, the first time you ever get a chance, opportunity to win championship gold. I've held many of championships from, people fans have made, or that, I've come across in my time from friends and family and stuff. But to actually win a championship, it was really cool. And as I said, it just gave me validation that everything, all the hard work that I put in was meant for, or, for something, not just for nothing,
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. So now you're running, you have New Texas Pro, y'all. And by the way, kudos on actually getting to beat Death Bear, Ryan Davidson, and I forgot
Alex Reigns. Alex he wrestles now is Austin Reddick. So
Austin Reddick, please don't kick my ass. I'm sorry, old age. Please, I try to remember everybody, but I know Ryan Davidson because he's one of the few people that actually scare me. He's one of the guys I'll be like, "You're gonna buy a shirt," and I'm like, "Yes, I'll buy all colors. Don't beat me up, kill me, or rob me."
He might come and beat you up. I don't know. He's beaten my ass enough times. I'm sorry if I can't cuss on here. I apologize.
No, actually, you could. It's okay. It's okay. We Kathy and I and Rob all said that, hey, if Stone Cold Steve Austin could cuss on here, or the Sandman could come on here and cuss, then by all means, okay for you guys. But I give you kudos on beating such a tough tag team. But Ryan Davidson, I don't think there's ever been an opponent that has actually wrestled him and not left unscathed. They have probably felt some of those shots he's given them, those chops, the weeks after, the match happened. So I give you guys kudos on getting that victory. But New Texas Pro, man, one of the hottest things since sliced bread, one of the hottest things alongside reality wrestling. Tell us, man, like, how'd you go about making that happen, man? Because I was like, when I heard about New Texas Pro, I'm like, wow, they got a great setup. And then and I was like, who runs New Texas Pro? And then I forgot who I asked. They were like, Kiefer Bartek. I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah. How'd it happen? How'd it happen, man?
Man, I was begging Kevin and them. I was like, please, can we run a show in my hometown of Abilene? Because like I have friends and family that want to see me wrestle. For whatever reason, logistics, it just didn't happen. So it was actually myself, Terrell Tempo, who's also a longtime reality wrestling guy, and Max Heights. We're all from West Texas. And we were just like, hey, look, if we want, good wrestling to take place out where we live in our hometowns and stuff, we're going to have to like put it together. You know what I'm saying? It was never my dream to be a promoter or to run a promotion or anything like that. I really was just about being a wrestler, but I just knew that if we wanted things done, we had to do it. We were the ones that were going to have to do it. And so we had our good friends at Heavy Metal. They helped us with, getting a ring to Abilene and to Colorado City, which is where Max is from. And we ran two shows. We had two shows planned, one in Colorado City in October of 2018 and one in Abilene in December of 2018, which is where I'm from. And they just both went really good. And, myself and Terrell and Max were like, hey, I think we've got something here. Like we might need to, just keep trying to run shows, because of the reception was so good. And, we've moved a couple of homes. We still run Abilene. We still run in Colorado City. The pandemic kind of changed some things and moved some stuff around for us. We had the Premier Arena, which has kind of been our home for the last couple of years, kind of opened up in 2020 during the pandemic. JJ Blake, who he's our Lone Star champion, Triple Crown champion. He was training people here at the Premier Arena. And he said, we might be able to get you guys in here. And that's kind of how we've transitioned from running from West Texas to running to Houston. And, a lot of our talent is based here. Again, I have such strong ties with everybody down at Row. It was kind of easier for us to just, continue to run shows here because, again, most of our talent pool is here. And, that's kind of how things just transition. And we've just continued to grow. We are the only the featured promotions on IWTV from Texas. Our YouTube numbers continue just to grow. I think we did 500,000 views on YouTube this past month in December or close to it. I think we were getting in on like 15,000 subscribers on YouTube or 14 or something along those lines. And, social media just continue to grow. I think we almost have 10,000 people on every social media we have, maybe 7,000 on Twitter or something. It just continues to grow. And, we continue to be showcased. And, I think we had an article in PWI in November. And, man, now here we are. We had a great show on Friday, and here I am with you guys.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Kathy, I think that was the same one that Kathy told me about.
Yes.
She says she intends on going to, I don't mean to put her business out on the street, but she intends to go on the next one to the next one next month. Yeah. She already told me, like, yeah, I'm going to that one, that one next month. I'm like, okay, you could go. I'm not gonna hold you back. Go if you wanna. I don't stop you. I mean, if I try to stop you, you threaten to beat me up and do stuff. So I mean, hey, go if you want to go. But that's I've heard nothing but great things. And like I said, hopefully, I make it out to Texas real soon. I could check out some of y'all. So I've only seen 1 or 2 shows in Texas. I don't know if you know about these guys. I think they're defunct now, but ACW out in Austin.
Anarchy Championship. God, it used to be run by Darren something. I can't think of his name, but
yeah, I know his first name was Darren. I think he moved to Orlando and then they went kaput. But it was a pretty great show. I saw Athena there. I saw Sue Young and a couple others there too.
Yeah. That was a stalwart in Austin wrestling for over a decade, maybe 15 years, something like that. So
that's the first wrestling show I went to where they said, hey, if you're sitting in the front row, well, you might not make sure you move, because if the wrestlers come near you, that row is not going to be. And true to their word, by the time that show was done, the whole front row was a disaster area. There was like it was decimated. So
I
that,
hope the people that've been to the Premier Arena enough times to know, like, hey, if you see somebody setting up for a dive, you might want to just, evacuate your seat for the time being, because that's very similar to how it is there at Premier.
oh yeah, definitely. Fans take note. Just because you pay your money doesn't mean you get to stay there. Put
Hey,
yourself in the
you'll
picture.
get back to your seat eventually. You know what I'm saying? Just got to, give it some time, let the action clear out. And, some people love that. Some people love just being right there in the action, the element of
Yeah.
there's a little bit of danger that's always there where you're like, I have to pay attention at all times. I don't know if something's gonna be flying at me in a second.
Oh yeah. So I just got two more. So I just got two more questions for you before I turn it over to
Okay.
Kathy. I know Kathy has a bunch of questions. She's chomping at the bit. So my second to last question is, now that you're a promoter, if you saw somebody that came to your promotion, like, hey, I want to run one back in my hometown or my home state. I want to run a promotion as well. What advice would you give that person that wants to do the same thing that you're doing?
Um, it's tough. It's hard to, it's tough. I will say that, if you want to do it and you believe in it, it's going to take a lot of work. It takes a lot of groundwork. You need to have people, you need to build connections in your community. You need to build connections with wrestlers and people in the wrestling business who can help you. Um, and it just takes a lot of work. You have to think there's, at this point, probably hundreds, if not thousands, of other promotions at this time. Even if they aren't necessarily in your hometown, they're still there. And you have to try to outwork all those promotions because, there's competition everywhere, and you have to just, like I said, try to build connections and try to outwork everyone.
Awesome. So for those y'all planning on starting your own promotions, you actually got a little bit of advice, from a promoter that's actually, running one of the, hottest promotions right now in Texas. If you want any more advice, you probably got to pay him for his time. Maybe give him some cash,
Seminar, brother. No.
purchase a lot of New Texas Pro merchandise, and maybe he'll slip you something more. But yeah, there you go. You see it right there. So yeah. So my last question.
Yes. Second to last question.
No, that's definitely my last one, because I don't want to hear Kathy after this, and then Rob's going to chime in too whenever she starts. But what can we expect? I know you're not going to give us any spoilers, but it's a little thing. What can we expect to see from New Texas Pro this year, the Jordan year?
We are going bigger, and we're going to have some great talent on the shows this year. We've kind of outgrown the Premier Arena, and the talent that we want to bring in, we want to showcase them, and we want to try to draw in hundreds of people, if not, try to go for 1,000 people. And we think that we have the talent and team and the community to be able to pull it off. So this year, we're really going to be trying to expand. We're going to try to find a venue, if not, maybe the George R. Brown Convention Center or the Pasadena Convention Center. But our plan is for growth, and we're going to continue to, our goal isn't just to be one of the best promotions in Texas. We want to be the best. We want people to think, when they think of Texas wrestling, they want to think of New Texas Pro Wrestling. So, we still have a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of things that fell into place this last year for us to be able to, again, go and expand and go into bigger venues that are going to be a lot more beneficial for us, for our fans who are going to want to come to the show, and for our talent who are going to want to wrestle in these venues in front of these crowds. And a lot of the names and fly-ins and people that we've used these last few years, you're going to see a lot more of them this upcoming year as well as other people that we haven't used yet, that you've seen on television or seen around the country. We're going to try to bring in a lot of great talent, and we're going to mix them in with our great talent, and we're going to keep keep pushing the envelope and keep expanding. That's our plan.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I will definitely be tuning into New Texas Pro this year, and although I won't be there in person yet, I'll definitely be tuning in, and checking out some of
We
Texas and so on.
we got a great IWTV loves us. I mean, we're one of the feature promotions, and if not, all of our shows and matches get uploaded on YouTube. So there's a ton of matches on there. From this last few years that have just been incredible. So I would definitely recommend checking out the YouTube and just seeing all the matches that have happened, all the talent that's come through our doors, and we're gonna have a lot more of that in 2023.
Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to seeing what y'all have to bring. With that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to Kathy. I know Kathy's, she has a whole host of questions to ask. So, Kathy, go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right, thanks for me. Hopefully my cable doesn't go out because it's been storming, but
It's that Louisiana cable,
we'll
I'm
see how
telling you.
this goes. It's been thundering. I was watching the thunder in my window right there. But yeah, hats off to you, pun intended, to wear like that thing's heavy. I had to put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw you Friday. So
Yes.
hi again.
Hi.
Remy surprised us with this one. He's like, "Yeah, we got Kiefer." I was like, "I just saw him Friday."
It's the season premiere. I had to go big.
I was
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
so I do these things on show days where I just like zoom around the arena the whole time because I'm trying to get from like one place to the next kind of thing. And I'm like walking by the ring and I see Kathy to my left and I'm like, "Hi, Kathy," and just like give her a fist bump and just like take off to wherever I'm going next. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm like, "What's up, Kiefer?" And then now I see you again. So here we go, like round two. But yeah, Lone Star 3 was awesome. It just
Yes.
premiered. It was this past Friday. Just premiered on IWTV yesterday.
Yeah.
You may see somebody bend the knee. I do that a couple of times for these new Texas Pro shows. Yeah, bend the
It
knee.
always makes it on camera.
Yeah, always make sure to sit where she can find me.
Yeah. She always does.
Yeah. So that was Friday before New Year's. So happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you. Happy New
And
Year to you.
I saw the pictures. You had a New Year's Eve party.
We
And
did.
actually, some of your this is a kind of a neat question I wanted to ask because you're part wrestler, part promoter, and you had a New Year's Eve party with the people that you actually hire, and they're actually your friends. So like, where's that line between like does it ever get iffy? Like I'm a promoter, but I'm also their friend. Like, how does that
Um,
work?
a lot of the people that you saw on the in the picture that was there at the party. I mean, I've been friends with these people for even before I was a promoter. So you still have that friendship and connection with all these people. Um, the people that are on our shows, I want the best for them, whether that's at New Texas or wherever they wrestle, and genuinely just want them to succeed. Everyone that I've crossed paths with in the business, I want them to be successful. You know what I'm saying? I want them to succeed. And I think, I think that like I said, a lot of the friendships just kind of transcend me being a promoter. Because again, I don't wish ill upon anybody. I always want the best for everybody. And a lot of times, it's understandable. It's only me, running shows. So the budget is what the budget is. And everybody, understands. And, we all work as a team and we're all friends. And it's just I'm just grateful to be blessed with so many wonderful people that are around me all the time.
Yeah, and then the added thing to it, you're a wrestler too, so it's like those friends are your peers, and
Right.
you promote them and you book them. So it's like
Yes.
there's like all these levels. It's kind of
Yes.
I guess it gets kind of iffy at times, but
Yeah.
making it friends is probably easier, or sometimes it could be harder too. You have to
It's
make those tough decisions.
there's good and bad, but I think the people who really get upset and they think that we have heat because I don't book them aren't necessarily the type of people that I want to try to keep around. I don't think it's that deep. Again, it's just we have a show and it's the budget and that's what it is. And again, I've had friends that I've never booked or hardly ever booked that I would probably spend more time with them than I might spend with people on my own show. So again, it's like I said, I've had friendships with these people for years, so it's you know I don't really think too much into that kind of stuff, and I'm sure they don't think that much into it either.
Yeah, it would probably put extra stress. You don't want that.
Yeah,
You got enough
no.
stress booking these shows.
I already have like a million, like so much stress on my shoulders every show day. So, or every just in between shows, just all the time. Yeah. So I'm actually feeling good now. We have the Loco show coming up, the Contender show. But other than that, I'm trying to find the next venue. So we're just kind of I'm kind of in a weird spot where I'm not really promoting shows. So I actually feel like less stress, like I'm able to relax a little bit. So I'm sure we'll get back into the swing of things in like no time. So
Well, I'm sure you have like all the stress and build up to these shows, but I have to tell you, like every single time I go to these shows, it's like to the fan perspective, it goes
yeah,
flawlessly. Like
thank
you
you.
put on banger shows every single time. I was gonna say that like closing to throw it to Rob, but I'll say it again. But
Yeah,
yeah, every show is a banger. You always have great shows. I've been to a few of them now. Now that you moved to Texas to Houston from
yeah,
Abilene, so it's easier for me to get there instead of like 7 hours. It's 4.
yeah.
So, but yeah, always a good time every time I go. So whatever stress like that goes on backstage, nobody notices. At
That's
least
good.
to me, I don't notice.
That's
It's
good.
focused on the good stuff, the good matches. You never have like a sleeper. It's always a banger. Every match is a banger.
Yeah.
Every show is a banger. So hats off to you again.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I have trouble sometimes putting the shows together because they're all such great matches usually, and sometimes there's cool down matches in other wrestling shows, or even in WWE they'll have some type of cool down match, and I don't know if there's ever we don't really have those at New Texas because every match delivers in its own way, and sometimes it just I'm like, all right, well, let's see how this flows, or let's see how this goes, and again, it also helps working with such talented people too. So that definitely makes my job a lot easier.
Definitely. So you kind of mentioned it. You started this Texas Contender Series,
Yes.
which the next one's on January 26th, and it's going to be on IWTV. It's actually going to be live on
Yes.
IWTV. So, and it's basically like, I guess you could say like some pros, wrestling pros that have done it for a while, kind
Yeah.
of get in the ring with not so much rookies, but like they're still kind of green, and
Yeah.
you get like new versus old. So, what made you want to start that? I know you wanted to give like more people a chance to showcase their talents and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do I was pretty close with heavy metal there in San Antonio, and they used to do a heavy metal thunder on Wednesdays or Thursdays. It was like every week in San Antonio, and I really just enjoyed being able to go out and wrestle and work with different people that I've never worked with before. And I'd always thought it was a cool idea for the talent. I wish that when I first started that I would have had something like this, to where a lot of the times this is like the Contender Series is a lot of people's places to wrestle. One of the first, if not the first, one of the first places they wrestle outside their own promotion or training camp or whatever the case may be. And it just gives you an opportunity to get in the car and go to another city and wrestle in front of a new crowd and wrestle new people. Especially in those first 2 or 3 years, are like your formative years of wrestling. It's just so important to get out and wrestle as much as possible. Like once you're able to go and bump and do everything safely, just to go out and be able to just wrestle, like learn how to wrestle, learn how to get on stage, learn how to, learn how to make the crowd react in certain ways, learn your psychology. And so I think I think it ended up being 95 wrestlers total have wrestled for the Contender Series over the last 10 contenders that we've done, and that's been from all over the state and even like further out. Like there's some guys from New Orleans that came in, some guys from New York, guys from all over the state. And again, I like working with the new kids because they're just so like eager to learn and they want to just be better. And I'm not saying that I love working with everyone in New Texas and everything like that, but a lot of those guys have been doing it for a decade plus, or something along those close to that. So there's a different energy when you're dealing with the guys who've been wrestling for a year as opposed to the guys who've been wrestling for 10 years, and they just kind of they just breathe life into me because they just see it in a different way that I don't. I've been around the block a couple times, so. it's cool, man. It's been one of my favorite things I think I've ever done. It's definitely brought, some guys like Just Nick, who just wrestled on New Texas. He was someone that's been in the Houston area. He's been training for a couple of years. He's kind of joined our camp, and he's just been just wonderful to work with. And there's other guys in the Houston area, in our own camp, around the state, that I've just really enjoyed, working with and doing business with and seeing their growth. And it's important to me. It kind of reminds me a lot of when I first saw Roxy. I think she was 16. She wrestled Kylie. And Kylie was like, "Hey, you need to keep an eye on this girl. She's pretty good." So we started using her at New Texas. And I remember I was like begging Kevin. I was like, "Hey, man, you need to this girl's like really good. Like, you need to get this girl in. Like, she's like really good." And they didn't use her for, maybe a year after that or something like that. But at the same time, she finally got over the road. That's kind of where she always wanted to be. And yeah, I mean, just like I said, it's very similar to, like I said, dealing with her, and from, promoters telling her that, they're going to blackball her from the business if they don't wrestle for their shows, and weird, creepy guys and stuff like that. I mean, you kind of just, want to help these people out, help these kids out the best way you can, and try to give them good leadership and good experience that can help them into the future and to wherever their career goes, So the next one's going to be with Loco, which is also a very buzzy promotion here in Houston. And we're kind of doing what you said. Some of the more well-known people are wrestling some of the contenders that we've had on the show. And that's kind of the gimmick for that show, and that should be really interesting. The card's pretty crazy. I'm wrestling Nick on it. Hion's wrestling Amaris, who's, coming up as well. There's a lot of, Chris Carter's on the card and some other people, but it's, it's an interesting concept. And I hope that, Thursday nights in Houston just becomes a staple. People know, hey, Thursday nights in Houston, we're going to get to see some wrestling. So we're still growing, and it's, like I said, it's really cool. One of my favorite things I've ever done in the business.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like you said, it's on Thursday, which, usually it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show in Texas. You get to see it on Thursday, and
yes,
there's no advance sales. You walk up, $10, you're in.
That's it.
That's another neat thing. And then, of course, another neat thing, like you said, with Loco, both brands are coming together. You also did another thing. I think it's the second year they did it, but you were, I know in July of 2021, because I'd gone to that show, you had like a bunch of different Texas promotions,
yes,
all under the same umbrella.
Yep.
And that was pretty neat. Something else you did that was pretty neat, because you always hear, like you said, like, oh, so-and-so can't go to this other promotion. Like, there's so many inner promotions that fight with each other.
Right.
And you were trying to bring like most of Texas together. So that was pretty awesome. Yep. Had like people from promotions from San Antonio, promotions from Houston. So that was pretty neat to see. I'd seen the first one. I know there were two of them so far.
Yes.
But yeah, the first one was really neat to be in person with. So that was another cool thing.
We've kind of grown. The Texas Indie Showcase is what it's called. I try to get as many different promotions from as many different cities in the same building in one night. And I don't tell them anything about what they want to do with their match. I say, here's your match, do what you want to do with it. Just let me know what you guys are going to do. Because I really want to get, every single brand, I want you to try to get the best version of that brand that they have. So you have, I think this year we had 9 or 10 matches, and I think there was 16 promotions, I think, involved. Some of them were like interbranded promotions, like interpromotional promotions and stuff. And for me, it's just, I think if there was a mentality, and sometimes there still is the mentality, like if you can't work here, you can't work there kind of thing. And I want to show that the unity of Texas in general, to say that we're all trying to work for the same thing, that we want Texas wrestling to be seen on a different level and platform than any other territory of promotions in the entire country, any other states or West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, whatever you want to call it. And man, it's been really cool the last 2 years. I think we've done business with over 20 promotions from across the state. And, we'll be doing another one this July. Probably bigger than the one we did last year. And it's just really cool. I've been blessed to be able to work with a lot of great people in the state, and for them to trust me and to try to do my best to try to share the platform that we've built at New Texas with other promotions all across the state.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. Yeah, Texas Indie Showcase. Couldn't even add a brain fart. I was like, what's the name of it?
Texas, whatever,
that Texas thing
this,
I went
Texas
to with all the promotions. But yeah, it's a really cool idea. Really neat.
Yep.
Glad I got to see the first one. And I might actually go to the one in July. Who knows? But
Yeah.
it's a really cool idea because Texas is huge, as we all know. And, it's hard to get around to the other promotions. So it was cool to see, San Antonio promotions that I might not ever go to because that's like
Yep.
6 hours away. So, so it's really neat to see them all come together as one. So that's a neat idea. I'm glad it's gonna continue. So, little backstory. So, how'd you get the sheriff name? Where did that come from?
So, I'm from West Texas. I'm from Abilene, Texas. I was doing a heel gimmick at. I was doing the StarTech gimmick. I was doing the man bun gimmick at Heavy Metal. I knew that I wanted to cut my hair. I didn't want to do the man bun anymore because it's a lot of upkeep if you have long hair. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure Rob knows here, or I don't know if he has, do you have long hair here, Rob? Okay.
No, when I was younger, man, I had long hair.
And it's just a lot of upkeep. And, I was like ready to move on, and the guys at Heavy Metal were like, "Hey, maybe we have this idea for like this law character at our show because Heavy Metal is very similar to Loco, and it is very grungy, and they were kind of counterculture type of wrestling and stuff. And so you have this big old tall white guy who acts like a sheriff. I mean, instantly he's the bad guy, And I mean, ever since then we've just kind of I've just taken with it and ran with it, and we had a lot of fun at Heavy Metal. I was the champion there for a little while. Did some hardcore stuff with Ruben Steele, which was wild. And then, I've just kind of used it ever since then. I just think it makes a lot of sense. Again, I'm from West Texas, and it's easy for me just to portray the gimmick. I went from a hipster character to now a, cowboy character. So, it's been an interesting ride, I'd say, in my wrestling career, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's so easy for people to hate me. I caused a riot at the Premier Arena earlier this year, or I guess last year now. And I mean, it's been a fun character to do. And it's funny because I take a lot of tropes from like friends and family back home of like how they act and just like kind of act like them. And it's been fun.
So your name is also unique, Kiefer Bartek. The only Kiefer I know is Kiefer Sutherland from like the 24 show. So
yes.
is that where you got the name from?
Yes, actually. I don't know if my parents were fans of Lost Boys or whatever in the 80s, but they named me after Kiefer Sutherland. And until he came back for 24, people had no idea who Kiefer Sutherland was. So I'm glad that he's kind of came back a little bit there in like the 2000s or whatever it was. So, but yeah, that's who I was named after. That is my shoot name.
I got one. Yay, I won. So another question I always wanted to ask. I mean, we've been like 5 seasons of Ringside Society, but I'm gonna ask you this question. So you come out to Neon Moon by Brooks and Dunn.
Yes.
How does a wrestler pick their songs to come out to, or how did you pick your song?
So we're doing a show in Port Aransas for Heavy Metal, and on the spot, Great Scott, who's wrestled for us quite a bit. He's been around the scene for a very long time. He hands me the microphone and he said, like, we're cutting a heel promo on the city or the town or whatever. And he hands me the mic and he says, the sheriff's going to sing for you guys. And I'm like, what am I going to sing? Like, I don't know any karaoke. I don't like to sing. So the first thing that came to my mind was Neon Moon, because I've sung it a couple of times in karaoke and many of drunken nights. So I just started singing Neon Moon, and it popped the boys in the back and everything so much that they were like, "You got to come out to Neon Moon." So it's just literally that's how it happened. That's probably not the case for most wrestlers. Most of the time, they kind of just brainstorm, and sometimes it's given to them. Sometimes it's sometimes it's their gimmick or whatever. But that's how I started coming out to Neon Moon. So I'm sure that's probably unique from everybody else's experience. So.
Well, we had Aaron Mercer on the show one time, and he comes out to share now, Turn Back Time, and I think that was like a one-off, and now it's his
No,
song.
So he came out to that at Indie Showcase too, when he wrestled Richie in the death match. And I was like, "Well, did you hear the crowd?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, this is your song now. Like this is your song. You can't like have that experience where the song literally gets stuck in everybody's head for the rest of the night and maybe the next day, and not be like, "Hey, this can't." I'm just gonna move on to the next song. Like I was like, you have to. This has to be your song. And so thankfully he's used that moving forward. And I think everyone, I don't know if I've ever been a big Cher fan, but I do like his interest music. So
it is pretty neat when he comes out. Yeah, I got to hear it. I went to Wrestle Rave on my birthday, and he came out to it, and I was like, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Kylie Rae and you mentioned Roxy, and I was going through your matches, and you actually beat Roxy in 2019, and you wrestled Kylie Rae and beat her too.
Yes.
Well, undefeated. That's pretty neat.
Similar to Rachel Rose, I kind of took took Roxy. Sorry, I'm gonna call her by her real name. I took Roxy by her under my wing. And I knew I wanted to wrestle her at some point. And so we were able to do that in 2019 at Heavy Metal. And it was a fun match. I hit her with the spear, and I think the crowd literally thought I like she was just gone. She was like dead. And I was I never hear like a ooh hush over a crowd like when I hit her with the spear. And it was so funny. And again, it was a lot of fun. That was a fun night. It was like Heavy Metal used to run at bars, so it was an interesting crowd to say the least. We had to like sneak Roxy in and like sneak her out kind of thing. She was like underage. And then I always wanted to wrestle Kylie. She moved back to Chicago in 2018 or something. And it was kind of during the pandemic when everything was kind of like died down in wrestling, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think about coming and wrestling me at Heavy Metal," which actually was at a mall at that time. And I think we wrestled in front of, because of this pandemic, we wrestled for like 20 people, but it was one of my favorite matches that we ever had, or I've ever had. And those two are great talent, but better people, and I'm it's good to be friends with such wonderful people.
Yeah, for sure. You just celebrated 4 years of New Texas Pro, and Kylie was that's what brought me to the show. I was like, I am taking off of work because it was on a Friday. I was like, I have to see Kylie again because so what started my journey in like independent wrestling was 2019 Reality of Wrestling had Roll on the Rise, where they collaborated with Shimmer and Rise and Row all together. And I saw Kylie, saw Hyon, Rachel Rose, Insidious One, Killer Kate,
AQA.
All of them. Yeah, AQA. She was there. Saw all of them 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago to the day, January 19th, 2019. And I hadn't seen Kylie since that show, 2019. And I was like, well, I am going to go see her again. And I got a picture with her, and it's like definitely awesome to see. And then Roxy was there too. Can't forget her. Yeah. And almost four years later, still travel to Texas to see them. They had that much of an impression on me.
And I mean, Kylie is, I think, one of the best women's wrestlers in the entire world. One of the best baby faces in the entire business. And if she's not signed, I'm hoping to be able to see her a lot more at New Texas this next year. But yeah, I mean, she's sometimes it's crazy to me to think that we have people that come from Dallas and come from San Antonio and come from Austin, and they drive, and you as well, Kathy from Louisiana. And it's like, I don't even know the words to use, but I feel just grateful that you guys are able to, that you guys constantly make the trip out to New Texas. And Kylie Ray is one of those talents that you've got to see when you can, because you don't know if she's gonna get picked up somewhere, WWE or wherever she might go next. She's just one of those talents that you have to see in person. You have to see at an independent level, and like you said, I mean, she's worth the drive. She's like, one of my favorite people and one of the best talents I've ever been around. So
Yeah, I think that's why I drive so much too. I think I went like last year, I went to one show at least every month
yeah,
in 2022. Sometimes I went to two or three, but it for a few reasons. I mean, it's worth it. You guys, I know especially you and Rotu, y'all make it comfortable to
yeah,
be there. There's no like not too crazy. I mean, with the loco crowd, they're kind of loco. I mean,
yeah.
hence the name, they're crazy, but it's entertaining. You make it feel like family.
Yeah.
I know. I remember when I went to my first New Texas Pro show. I was like, went up to you and I was like, that show was awesome. I'm glad I came,
What
and I'm
what
still
show was
going.
it? Do you
I don't
remember
know. It might have been the Texas Indie Showcase,
the
but
first
I
one?
went to that one. I don't know if it
Mm.
was my first one, but I went to that one. 25 lighters.
Yep.
Went to that one. Just went to Lone Star 3. Went to Lone Star 2.
Yep.
So the Texas Indie Showcase might have been my first one, unless
Yeah.
I might be forgetting one, old age.
Yeah.
But yeah, like every show you put on has been great, and you make it feel like family, and like you get
Yeah.
to stay and as a fan, talk to the wrestlers and
Yeah.
hang out, and you never kick us out. So it's like I've stayed till like 1:30 in the morning talking to
I
wrestlers.
I just want like WWE and AEW and all the other bigger promotions, like, you go there and there's the lights and the cool entrance ways and the fireworks and everything. And there's no way that we can compete with that on a independent level, but being able to actually get to talk to some of the talent wrestlers and be able to, have a real conversation with them and be able to, build a connection with these guys, like in real life. That connection's kind of what makes independence so special, that you'll be able to see this person's journey from when they first started or the first time you see them. So, hopefully making it to the next level. So that's one of the big draws. And one of the things that we try to do in New Texas, and make sure everyone feels welcome and make sure that everyone, gets to interact with the wrestlers in whichever way they deem fit. So.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what you said, speaking about Roxy, she's Roxanne Perez,
Yeah.
Lone Star 2.
Yes.
I've been a fan of wrestling since I was 4 years old, and 41 now, so 37 years of watching wrestling. But last year, in the 36 years of watching wrestling, I had never been so touched, and to be in person with what happened. So we didn't know at the time when she had her tryout.
Yeah.
We didn't know she was going to go to WWE, but we kind of figured. So you did this thing, just in case. She had a match with Gino Medina, awesome match from top to bottom. But the ending of it was very touching, and I will always remember. I will never forget this because I was part of it. You gave her some flowers. All the wrestlers came to the ring. The fans even got to the ring. We were like banging on the ring. She's standing there with the flowers. Awesome moment. And that is one I will never forget, and I will always thank you for doing that. And I got to be a part of it. Like I'm still emotional talking about it like a year later.
It's I don't think I've ever told this backstory on any kind of podcast, so we will this is be a exclusive, I guess, or first time. So Gino Medina was actually scheduled to wrestle Daniel Garcia from AEW. And we had that booked for months, and Roxy, I think she told me in November, she was like, I can't do this. I can't do that booking. I'm going to see my sister's recital or something. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But the week of the show, Daniel Garcia messaged me and says, hey, I'm not able to do the show. I hurt my ribs in the match at Rampage or whatever. Maybe it was during the week. It was during the weekend. before the show. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, man, just, rest up, take it easy. We'll see you next time kind of thing. And I was like, I don't know what we're going to do for Gino. That was a pretty big match that we had. So we announced that Daniel Garcia wasn't, or he announced, I was like, hey, do you mind just making the announcement that you're not going to be able to make the show? So I get a call from Roxy maybe 30 minutes after that happens. And I'm like, hey, what's up? She never calls me, unless it's like important. So I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, I'm at the tryout right now. I'm like, wait, hold on. Well, back up real quick. I was like, you're at the tryout? You're at a tryout. She's like, yeah, I'm at WWE tryout. She's like, I saw that Daniel Garcia is pulling out or not be able to make it. So like, I would love to wrestle Gino, and I'm like, are you going to be in town for this? Like, what's, she's like, yeah, I'm going to be in town. So like, I really want this match. I was like, okay, let's make it happen. So then I want to say the day of the show that it started leaking out that she was at the tryout. And I was pretty confident because of the way they were talking to her that she wasn't going to be coming back to the independent wrestling. So that's when I was like, the day of the show, I was like, we got to get her like flowers or something, man. She's been like a big part of this promotion since like day one. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to make sure that she knows she gets her flowers before she goes on to her next thing, because she did mean that much to myself and that much to New Texas Pro Wrestling. And, yeah, it was a special moment. It kind of all happened like on the fly as things were just progressing throughout the week, and it feels weird. Again, it's like a giant, like, I'm forever happy for her success. I got to watch her at SmackDown there in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Arena. That was a really touching thing. Me and her mom were there, and we both got emotional a little bit just seeing her at the big stage. But it's definitely a big hole not having Roxanne Perez at a lot of New Texas Pro shows. But hopefully we're able to build a lot more. We're able to, build a platform that a lot more Roxanne Perez will come through and be able to make it to the next level. So it was a very emotional moment. I still, I think one of the cool things about wrestling is it is emotional. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's probably moments all in wrestling that we've all gotten emotional during watching or being there live or something. And, you can't just think about it as, just matches or just segments and stuff like that. There is connections and there is emotion that go with it. And, you want to be able to, have those emotional moments in front of the crowd and to have the fans and everyone else be a part of it as well as us. A lot of people didn't know what was happening backstage. I was like, hey, you guys just need to come out, because they didn't know about the tryout, or maybe they got a little inkling of the tryout, but they didn't know either. So it was a lot of things happening in real time that everyone got to experience in real time. And again, it was a really cool moment, and I'm sure it's something that Roxy probably will cherish for the rest of her life, hopefully. So.
Yeah, I think like you said, it came out that day or something. Like we figured it out, and like you said, after the show, we go and we talk to the wrestlers. She comes out after her big, everybody was banging on the mat and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and we have this thing where she kicks me in the shins. It started off with Rachel Rose, and then Roxy. They both did it the first time, which never, nobody filmed it or whatever. But the second time she did like these Orange Cassidy kicks, Rachel wasn't there, so Roxy kind of took them over. So every time I would see Roxy after the show, people would come up and say, hey, Kathy's here, you're here, can you kick her in the shins again? And then somehow it would get filmed. So they came up to her for Lone Star 2, and people were like, are you going to WWE? And she was so tight-lipped about it, she didn't say anything. This is what gave it away. She came up to me, I got my picture with her and everything, as I usually do. She goes, can I kick you in the shins? And I was like, oh man, she's going to WWE. She never asks to kick me in the shins. Other people, they see me, she comes out, they see me, they grab me. Hey, Kathy, Roxy's in the back, she just came out the back. And then they'll go to ask her, Roxy, can you kick Kathy in the shins again? And then somebody has to film it, of course. But this time around, she was like, I wanted a picture and I wanted to talk to her. And I was like, I don't know if you made it, but I'm just going to say I'm proud of you. Because some fans are coming up to her and they're like, oh, you going to WWE, aren't you? And she's like, she couldn't say anything. She's like, I can't say one way or the other. Yeah. Which, so I was being like kind of respectful toward that. I didn't want her to tell me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm super proud of you. You know, if you didn't get the tryout, you made it to the tryout. I'm proud of you for that. And if you make it to WWE, I'm like super proud of you. I'm proud of how, you know, the journey you've had.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Can I kick you in the shins?" And I was like, "Oh, that's the last time she's gonna kick me in the shins. She's going to WWE." So that
Yeah.
kind of gave it away. But I was like, man. And then I ended up seeing her for her last match at Raw
Yeah.
back in February of last year too. So that had me kind of tearing up when she fought Rachel. So yeah, and then you mentioned
Probably
the
couldn't have
two.
found a better opponent for her because we literally, I think we had them feud for like a year. And again, those are two of the people that I took under my wing when we first started New Texas. And just as like a wrestler looking out for the, looking out for the younger crop of people coming up. And yeah, I mean, they couldn't have found a better opponent for her. They're like complete foils, but best friends. And I'm sure that was a very emotional night for everybody involved with that.
Yeah. So you mentioned you saw her at SmackDown. I was there too. And I
Yes.
managed to catch her when she was leaving. And she's like, "Can we get a selfie?" There's like a bunch of people behind us though, but that's why if you ever see the selfie, it's red from like the tail lights from the
Yeah.
car. But I got to tell her too, like I was so proud of her then, and I was like, kick butt. This is awesome. I
Yeah.
can't ever find there needs to be like a bigger word than I'm proud of you. Because
Yeah.
I wear that out when I talk about her. It's like I'm super proud of her. But was that your first trip to New Orleans, or had you gone before?
Yeah, that was a first trip. My girl Amaris, she had been asking me to go with her for a while because she's from Cut Off, Louisiana, down there in the bayou, and she wanted to take me to New Orleans. So we got to do the Cafe du Monde, and we got to do some shrimp po' boys, and got to walk along out there at Bourbon Street and stuff. And then after the show, myself, Amaris, Roxy and her mom all hung out on Bourbon Street a little bit longer and just talked and caught up and stuff like that. So it's an interesting city. It is. I probably would have loved it maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of tame now. It tamed down a little bit
Yeah.
from what it used to be. But yeah, I had to laugh at your picture that you took of the church, and you said it was Disney World. Disney World is lit. I was like, that's the church, Kiefer. It had me cracking up though. I was like, that's so funny. But yeah, it's a St. Louis church. It's historic, like
Yeah.
one of the oldest churches. It's pretty badass looking too inside.
Yeah, Amherst was like, yeah, a lot of people like when they visit, down there in New Orleans, they'll take pictures in front of this church because it's a very big landmark and stuff. And I'm just always trolling and always just being myself. So I was like, oh, look, we're at Disney World because it looked like the Disney World castle. So I was like,
it kind of, now that you said it and I saw it, I was like, he's kind of right.
I've actually never been to Disney World either, so I needed to go do that too.
I was about 11 when I went. That was the first time I've gone,
Yeah.
and last time I've never been since. But yeah. So you mentioned Loco actually earlier. Well, before I get to that, you had actually stopped the wrestling. You retired
Yeah.
for a little bit. So what was the reasoning behind that, and what brought you back?
There was a point in time where I felt like it was more important for me to concentrate on New Texas Pro Wrestling as a promoter and a booker than it was for me to keep going out and getting bookings across the state. I just felt like it took a little bit away from time I could have been using working on, building a YouTube channel, making the connections, networking, just all the stuff that I could be doing for the promotion and to promote the guys and stuff. And I really wasn't training a whole lot as well. And so I just, I figured I was dead set. I was like, this is going to be, my last match. I'm kind of moving on to the next phase of my wrestling career. I'm saying promoting and booking. I'm not not concentrating too much on my in-ring career anymore. And yeah, when I went to that match, it was actually at a New Texas show. It was against Teflon Johnny Bedlam. And again, I went into that match just thinking this was going to be it. And it was in my hometown of Abilene. And I think, I started losing some weight again. And then I, kind of was like, hey, I think I might be able to just try to do this one more time. And maybe not be as serious as I was before about it. I don't really wrestle a ton. But when I try to wrestle, I try to make it count. And, got back into wrestling. I think it was in January or February of 2022, and kind of taken off ever since then.
Yeah, part of that comeback was you became local wrestling champion, and lots of people at local hate you because you burned their belt, you burned the title.
And all that stuff came together so quickly. Again, I think I was wrestling. It was a triple threat at maybe a PWF show or something with Sam, T-Ray, and myself, and then they just came to me that day. Maybe as the show was even going on, they're like, "What do you think about winning the belt?" I'm like, wow, "For what? I'm not, loco. I'm not out here doing all this crazy stuff." But they were like, "No, like you're such a good bad guy. Like everyone's gonna hate you, and we just need you to be a heel." And I'm like, "Well, that's the one thing I am good at is getting people to boo me." So I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." And then I think Jaime, who runs Loco, was like, "Hey man, what do you think about burning the belt?" And I'm like, "All right, let's do it. Let's have some fun with it." And there was people messaging me saying, I'm the worst thing that ever happened to wrestling. I don't respect wrestling. Just all kinds of stuff. They're unprofessional. Why would you burn, this championship belt and all this other stuff? There was like some crazy messages sent my way, and the Loco fans, they didn't really know me too well. So they weren't really privy on like who I really was or anything. So I just kind of fed into, being this big old, West Texas douchebag guy. And when I retained the belt against Sam at the Loco show in April, there was a legitimate riot in that place. I mean, like cans and chairs and beer bottles, and I was drenched in beer. BK, who helped me helped me screw over Sam, he was in the ring, and he was almost got hit with some chairs. I mean, they were just throwing everything they could that wasn't bolted down into the ring. It was a wild sight and a wild to be in there. I was kind of wanting it. I saw an old video the other day, and someone threw a beer can at me, and I grabbed it and threw it back into the crowd, and just then more like just being pelted with beer cans and beer bottles and chairs and trash. And it was crazy. It's kind of one of those things as a wrestler you live for, especially as someone who's a heel or has done a lot of heel work in most of my career. So myself and the Loco fans, we have a special bond with each other, and we will always hate each other. So
Yeah, I forgot what show it was. It was one of your shows because I walked up to the doors at the Houston Premier Arena, and I'm like, "There's a barrel on fire." I'm like, "What's going on?" And I got there right as you were taking, like, it had cooled off enough, and you took it out. I was like, "That's a Loco title! Like, what happened?" And then I saw the promo later, like that you gave before you burned it, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's what happened." But it was just funny, like walking up to a barrel on fire.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of just did it that day, and there's a little burn barrel next to that building. And I think I think Izzy was out there too. And it just, again, I got people were asking Amherst in like Mississippi if she knew who that was, and she's like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend." So it's like it traveled for sure. A lot of people saw it. A lot of people heard about it. The riot, the burning of the belt, all of it. It was really cool to be a part of. And it was, again, a lot of people consider that either the match of the year or or just the feud of the year in Texas with me and Sam. Sam is a guy that's wrestled in Oklahoma for a long time, and not a lot of people knew about us as wrestlers. I'm sure more people knew about New Texas Pro Wrestling than they probably knew about myself as a wrestler. So then to be put on the map with a lot of the colleagues and people that I respect, it was really cool. And really, I didn't expect it to happen this year. Again, I was done wrestling in 2021. So, and I'm just blessed again to all the experiences I've ever had in this business has just been incredible, and just really cool, and I'm forever grateful for it.
So Ribby might like this or might not, but so he talked about the Cool. That was his favorite tag team.
Yep.
You've been getting together with Cam in Inspire Pro, and I saw a video of you guys talking to Rachel Rose hoping she'd get back into the cool.
Yes.
Like, do you think, how can you convince her to get the cool, like, the band back together as the cool?
Well, actually, so there was a gauntlet match that I won, and I got to challenge T-Ray for the Inspire Pro Prestige Championship. And Cam actually cost me that match. So now we have beef at Inspire. So I don't know if the cool will ever reunite again. But never say never. But we all have our own things going on. So I like to beat both of them up. So that's fun too.
Yeah, like you said, never say never. But before I turn it over to Rob, you have a few where we're going to see you next is on the 13th. There's a Lord of the Ring Championship 4-way at Houston Premiere. It's you, Alexander Crowley, Exodus Prime, and Blanco Loco.
Yes.
And then you have, as you said, the Texas Contender Series on the 26th against Nick. And that should be just Nick. Yeah.
It's just Nick.
Should be pretty cool because Loco is involved again.
Yes, it's a Loco rules match, which means anything goes. So I've been involved in a couple of bloody wars there at Loco and also at other places. So it's kind of in my wheelhouse. I don't know if Nick's ever had one of these types of matches, but we'll see what the kid gets,
as we mentioned before during this whole podcast, Loco gets pretty loco. So you never know what to expect. But before I turn it over to Rob, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. It's been fun cosplaying as you, a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show. And I also wanted to, I've told you before, like on social media, but I want to commend you on your weight loss. You are inspirational. Hopefully I can, lose some pounds, but I live in Louisiana. The food's too good.
It is really good there.
Texas has good food too, though.
We do have good food here too.
It's hard to keep the pounds off. But thank you for coming on the show, and tell Amaris hi for me, and don't go too far, Amaris, because she's on our radar.
Don't you bring her on? She's
definitely.
We've got a lot of cool stuff planned for her this year too. So
yeah, so I don't know if Rob's frozen or not, but I was going to turn it over to him. But there he goes.
He's back.
Yeah. My bad. My internet was messing up.
Well, are you in Louisiana too? Is your kid?
No,
I'm up here in Delaware, man. Man, it's that Xfinity, man. I got that new modem, man. It cuts out, man. It's cut out like twice already.
You're calling me be on hold for an hour, so.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's the only time I have a problem, when I do the show, sometimes on the phone, I'll play my Xbox, I'll watch, Hulu, whatever.
Yeah,
fine.
No problem.
It's always on here, and it's always when I'm getting ready to ask a question or getting ready to come on, something like that. Like, oh, man. So anyway, man, how was your day today, man? Anything crazy happen? Just a normal day?
Just a normal day, man. Work, gym, oil change, all that stuff. Just a normal day. I'm
living in Texas. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I'm going to train after this and check on the kids and see how they're doing. So, just a normal day for me.
Now, when you go to training and stuff, my trainer and stuff, man, he always says this thing, man. I love it. It's funny, man. He'll sit there, if like doing moves or on the mat, you got to pop out or, do whatever kip ups. He'll be like, you need to pop them hips. I know your old lady ain't happy because you got to start popping them hips. I'm like, yes, or your old man, whatever, I'm like, yes, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Do you ever say that? Y'all got to pop them hips.
I'll tell them now. I always get onto them because they don't use their hips in certain things, but now I definitely tell them that. So
yeah, he'll say that. I remember his first time he said that. I was like, I was dying. I thought I was gonna lose it. Like he was like, I bet your old lady ain't happy. You need to pop them hips. Yes, okay. Now, being in Texas and stuff, I gotta ask. Can you always use more cowbell? You always need more cowbell.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, I'm on for cowbell, man. There's never enough cowbell.
I should have worn a crop top and just beat a cowbell here the whole time. That's what I think I should have done.
That's been awesome. Yeah, you just come on like,
yeah.
Oh man. So I got at being in Texas and stuff. Look, my mom and dad are big fans of like the Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon. He's from Texas. So they're older. They're in their 60s. Okay, So I went over. I was talking to my mom one day, and she was watching Young Sheldon, and it was an episode. He was running for class president. I guess this real popular girl, right? And he went to the girl's sister and found out she was born in New York and all like that. And they got on the debate stage. She was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm gonna do this." They're like, "Yeah." He goes on there. Well, she's a Yankee. She was born in New York. And they're like, no. And then she lost. Everybody voted for him. Is that true? Because you lose all your friends just like that.
There is a bias against New Yorkers or Yankees here in Texas. As a baseball fan, we do actually hate the Yankees. So there's that. And the Astros hate them too. They probably hate them more than the Rangers do. So, there's Texas pride here. We just have a very strong Texas pride, and we're just proud about Texas. And if you're from anywhere else, it's just not as good as here. And that's kind of how we all feel about it.
I just thought it was funny, I was like, oh man, yeah. It reminded me of that old school Bugs Bunny cartoon where he went to the South and he had that said that Southern gentleman with the the dog on there, Belvedere. You go out there and at the end he dressed him up in all Yankee stuff, so he come out and then he's like, kick the dog out, send him to a pound or whatever. Like, nah.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't mean to cut you off, but Kiefer, don't y'all call Yankees like dandies over there? Like, hey, you want them dandies more or what?
I think we kind of use the word Yankee sometimes to describe anybody from the north, and that's literally anybody north of Texas. So
I'm still convinced to this day that Yankee Doodle Dandy is like a southern thing that they said towards the northerners. I live in New York, but I mean, I find it all funny. Like, it's just, the way I look at it, a dandy is like a really flamboyant person.
Yeah.
Sometimes looked down upon by the manly man of back in the days.
Yeah.
So it's like I just when he said they are talking about Yankees, I was thinking about that whole thing, Yankee Doodle Dandy. I'm like, yeah, I just started like thinking about like some funny things I heard. But yeah, my bad.
There's a big contrast. I mean, I grew up in Abilene. It's a West Texas town. It's a Christian conservative town. And I'm in Houston. I lived in Dallas too. And those, these are big cities, much more, liberal, but it's still all Texas. You'll still see people wearing cowboy hats and there's country bars everywhere and everything like that. So it's just interesting to see the two dynamics of Texas, but we're all Texan,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm like that, man. It's where I live. It's very rural. I mean, there's like no such thing as like public transportation where I'm at. Like, you have to go to the city for that. Right? If you ain't got a car, you're SOL. Unless you walking or riding a bike for like 2 hours. Like, it's very rural. It's like I literally live across the street from a farm. It's like so. Now I gotta say, being a sheriff and stuff, watching movies stuff, who are your favorite sheriffs or maybe some favorite Western characters that you like, maybe favorite Western movies or something?
I grew up watching some John Wayne. My grandfather, he really liked Western, so I would just go and sit. I wouldn't even know what the Western was. I would just go and sit with them and just watch whatever was on TV. You know what I'm saying? Clint Eastwood's always good. I like the Fistful of Dollar trilogy. The good and bad and the ugly is with that as well. 310 to Yuma. There's a lot of good Westerns. They really don't make them too much these days, but when they do make them, I'll check them out if it's got some names in there that I like.
Yeah, I grew up on Westerns. My mom and dad did that. I'd wake up, dun Bonanza, that Gunsmoke. My mom watched Gunsmoke. It's like, all right.
Yeah, all good. Kind of like that's a lot of what my grandparents used to watch. So if we weren't watching the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, we'd probably watching, Bonanza or Gunsmoke, or they liked In the Heat of the Night. There's a lot of old shows that they would just watch, and I just sit there and watch with them because I ain't got nothing better to do.
There you go. Oh man, yeah. I do the same thing. It's like because when I grew up, we didn't have cable. We just had VHF and UHF. Dad had control of the TV. And I was remote. You know what I mean? So he could turn to channel 5. Whack, 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 whack. Hit me 5 times. I go up there.
There was we had a couple of those TVs like at my house when I was younger, and SmackDown used to come on UPN back in the day. And I used to get the bunny ears coordinated.
Yes.
and flip it. Try to find I think it was 54 in Abilene or something like that, 42 maybe. And so, like they had the bigger dial was for like the first, I don't know, 12 channels, and the smaller dial was for like the rest of the ones that were like that you could connect to. And it was just forever. I can't even believe that we used to watch scrambling television
Oh, I know.
normally and be like, this is fine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How clear
Yeah.
everything is now and stuff. Like watching just, I watched, I don't know how many SmackDowns I watched where I could barely make out what was going on the TV, but I was like all in on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is incredible. I love this.
I used to do. I was the same way with ECW. I used to get my bunny ears out because they're in Philly, and it was like 57 or 64 or something like that.
Yeah.
I used to get them out, tune them in. All right, here we go. Yeah, here we go. ECW.
That was normal, man. It was like that was
Yeah.
just how life was. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to even explain that to some of the kids coming up, but yeah, it was normal. I don't know. I had 4 channels growing up.
The scramble channels, watching the pay-per-view. I used to watch WWE like that because
Yeah.
I couldn't afford the pay-per-view. You would watch it and it would be scrambled. But that one time it would shift. You could actually see something. I was
Yeah, you're like,
yes.
wait. Actually, I remember at my
SummerSlam '97. I remember that very well. It was just like that too.
It was No Way Out 2003. I think when Stone Cold came back and faced Bischoff. And I just remember not watching, but listening to that whole segment on the scrambling cable television that, was at my mom's apartment. So it was very, very interesting, but I loved it. Like I said, I couldn't get any more of that kind of stuff as a kid. That's just how big of a wrestling fan I was.
I did WrestleMania 9. My buddy, his mom and dad, they had one of those big satellite dishes out in the front yard. The NASA dishes, the old school one. And when you went up there, tuned it in, you hit a little button, and it would give you a 30-second preview of the show.
Yep.
WrestleMania 9 was on there. It was like 4 of us. We're like, yo, we're going to go up there. Somebody starts it off, the first match, whatever, hits the button. When it goes off, you bam, bam, bam. Then the next match come up. The next person comes up. Bam. We sat there that whole time. Boom, hitting that button. Boom, boom, the whole time. It was like, it was crazy. Oh, man.
That's incredible, man.
Just
different time,
different
times.
Yeah, good old time. Yeah. Like, because a couple weeks ago, we were also talking, we had a guest on, Christina Marie, and we were talking about Christmas shopping. And it was like, man, I was so old. I used to have to get up and, like, go to this thing called a mall. Now I just go use Amazon or eBay. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, just come here, Yeah, I ain't worried about no crowds.
I just remember walking around the mall with my friends just because there was nothing better to do,
Yeah.
Hopefully you have enough money to buy, like, a used game at GameStop or something.
Yeah, get something. Yeah, go to Annie Ann's or whatever, or Western Pretzel, whatever you got around there,
Go watch a movie or something. Just kill some time.
That's how I used to always watch movies and stuff. Like, I walk around with my friends, and we could look and be like, oh, yeah, look, because that's how I found that movie Pitch Black with Vin Diesel. I was like,
it's a good movie.
That looks pretty cool. Let's go watch it. It was like, I'm glad we watched this movie, man. It was awesome. Yeah. But then you also get, those movies like with Dave Chappelle and Danny DeVito, it was like Screwed or something. You're like, oh my God. It's just dumb funny, but it's like, oh Lord.
That's kind of when I still pay attention to the previews in movies, but you definitely pay attention a lot more then because you were like, as you're watching the previews, you're like, all right, I want to see that one. Not going to see that one. Going to see that one. You know what I'm saying? So then when you would go and you and your friends be like, all right, let's figure out which one we want to watch. And then you'd be like, oh, I remember seeing a preview for this one. So, well before the YouTube trailers that you'd be able to watch and stuff, you just had to keep it up in the memory bank to be like, all right, we're going to watch this one or not.
That's right. I ended up watching Scary Movie like a couple times like that. I'd go there with some friends one time and it was like, we watched it and then go there and I was like, man, that Scary Movie looks funny. So I was like, all right, I'll go watch it again. It was pretty good. I liked this. So yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. So do you enjoy how much access that you have to everything, or did you enjoy how much more simpler things were like in the 90s?
I don't know. I think it's half and half. I like the access, but sometimes, I'm like, it could be a little simpler. It doesn't have to be too much technology. It could be a little simpler. But,
What about you, Kathy or Remy?
It's cool to look up stuff online and not use the Dewey
Yes.
Decimal System at the library.
Oh, oh,
I don't know how many
yes.
arguments me and my brother got into. We were probably both wrong, but like we were just dead set on like it's not like you could Google it, so we were just
Yeah.
yelling at each other. It's like you're wrong, and it's like no, we couldn't even look it up. It was just.
But
just
yeah, I do miss going like the hey kids, the malls used to have theaters. We'd go
Yeah.
see movies in the theater. So yeah, I did when you said that, I was like, yeah, I do kind of miss that because now it's like a big theater,
Yeah.
but all by itself, like not connected to a mall. So it's different. And then I was laughing the other day. I had seen something on Facebook. It was about like the cassette tapes and how they would break and
Yeah.
you try to reel them back in. And I was like,
Yes.
man, my VHS tapes used to do that too. So I'm like, no, I lost my show. But then I try to take a pencil and like reel it back in, and I'd get it right, but then it
Yeah.
would that one part wouldn't be right. It would just like skip, or it would be scrambled, and it would do it again. I was like, no, put it back. I used to get so mad, I would throw my cassette tapes away. 'Cause you can make like mixtapes, right?
Yeah, on the radio. and stuff.
Get a blank tape, use it on the radio.
Or on TV, on the VHS.
Yeah, when it would unravel, I was pissed off, but then so I throw it away. But then I was like, oh wait, you can reel it back in with a
Yeah.
pencil. So like that's what I started doing, and I was like, oh. But yeah, some people don't know the joy or horror about that, and there was somebody, these kids these days don't even know what a DVD is.
Yeah.
It was like everything's streaming. So I was like, and we're talking about VHS tapes, like before DVDs.
Betamax.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think one of my things I missed the most was going to a Blockbuster or Hastings or Hollywood Video. And for me, is a lot of searching for like wrestling DVDs and VHSs, but just movies in general. Like you went there, you didn't know what you were going to get. You were hoping that, some like a new release would be out kind of thing. But then that might not be there. So then you might have to like get another movie that you wanted to see kind of thing, or maybe an older movie. And just kind of the joy of just going there and renting video games and renting movies and wrestling tapes and stuff. Like everything, you have access to everything now. So if you have the money, you can just get it instantly on whatever device. And I do miss the hunt of like trying to find like a new release on like a DVD that like, oh, I went to Blockbuster, they were sold out. So then I went to Hastings and they were sold out. Then I went to like Hollywood Video, and like trying to find this movie that just came out, and just like there's so much access. So it's not the hunt's not as fun as what it used to be, or I don't know, just like I said, you went to the video stores and games and movies and stuff. It was it was a fun experience, and I kind of missed that experience.
Yeah, for me, we didn't have like a Blockbuster. It was in another town over. So we had like these little mom and pop like video game rental places, and I would go with my dad. My dad would take me. And it was like the thrill of trying to find, oh, this looks cool, like this new Ninja Turtle game came out. I can't wait to play it. Or like that was like the fun of just trying to find something to rent to play for the weekend.
Yeah, I do miss the times I'd go to Blockbuster and I'd see like a wrestling VHS. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is out. I remember one time I went, this is many years ago. My mom and my stepdad, we actually went to Blockbuster, which is like around the corner from us. And they said I could actually rent one. So I was like, I found the wrestling section. I'm like, wow. And I'm the kind of wrestling fan. Like I started watching in 1990, but what I missed before, like WrestleMania 1 to the WrestleManias and Starcades, I actually read about through books and watching on old VHS tapes and so on. And I remember I saw WrestleMania 5, and I didn't know how epic that WrestleMania was. The Mega Powers exploding. And then when I actually put the VHS in, I'm like, this was a really big deal, because Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, they were, best buds, a tag team. And the first thing you see is the Mega Powers have exploded. And then I saw so many people, like, I didn't even know, like, at one point, I didn't even know at one point that, Dino Bravo had another manager besides Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Terry Taylor was actually the Red Rooster, and he had a faux hawk in his head, a red faux hawk, and he was, bobbing his head like a chicken. And Bobby the Brain Heenan once had a match in WWE, and I was like, all this stuff was like, I was like, it felt like I had like just taken a new drug and like a whole new world opened. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I miss about, about that was like Blockbuster and, just the excitement of, not knowing, as opposed to now you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is,
Yeah.
Technology has made certain things better and has made certain things, kind of lackluster. But yeah, those were the times.
I'd say it's like you have so much access to everything now, especially technology wise, that I say it kind of takes the thrill. I remember there was, before YouTube and stuff, you had to like explain like wrestling stuff to your friends if they didn't get to see it. And so like you in your head, you have it and and either your friends have explained it to you and you're like have to just take their word for this is exactly what happened, or you'd have to try to find the VHS or you'd have to find the DVD, you know what I'm saying? I remember kind of like what you're saying, Remy, like I used to love watching old Rumbles because it would be like you get 30 wrestlers from that time period, and then you get to like, oh, I didn't even know the Repo Man even existed until I watched his VHS from like Rumble 91 or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, with 93 or 94, whenever he was there. And like, you know what I'm saying? And like, you couldn't do research on these people. There was like, the internet was kind of in its infancy stage. Like there wasn't like a Wikipedia even like that was worth your time. So again, it was like, you'd go back and try to find these old tapes of WWE and WCW and even ECW and stuff like that, just because if you didn't see it then, you would never get to see it. So that was one of my favorite things, that and with video games as well, because, there'd always be a game that I'd want to find and I couldn't rent and stuff like, for the 64 Mischief Makers, like for some reason was always sold out at like my local store. And once we finally got it one time, and it was like the coolest weekend ever. And we stayed up all night playing games, unbeknownst to our parents, like, oh, we're going to bed, and then just like play in the dark for like 6-7 hours or whatever. So yeah, man, it's a different time. And like I said, the access to all the technology and stuff it's cool in some regards. You're never going to be wrong for too long because you can just Google it. But again, it kind of took the thrill out of life sometimes in certain aspects.
Oh yeah, I know, man. Yeah, because like you were saying, man, I remember one time I watched a South Park episode. It was the Christmas Critters, and I remember telling some friends about this, and they're like, "No, there ain't no way that was on TV. There ain't no way they played that." Or what. I'm like, "I'm serious. You got," and then YouTube, here you go. It's like, "Oh, okay, wow." I'm like, "Yeah, see, I told you, I wasn't lying to y'all, man. Come on now."
You had to wait for the South Park DVDs to come out or VHSs to come out.
We'd have family functions, people's birthdays and stuff, and we didn't have up until I think '98. We didn't. So there was like standard cable, like your local channels, and then cable, like Nitro was playing and USA Network and stuff like that. Well, we didn't have USA Network and MTV and whatever until about like 1998. So at these family functions, birthdays and stuff, we were like in my room playing Nintendo and whatnot. And my niece would tell me, because I would watch WWF at the time, like you'd watch it on Saturday.
Yeah.
And she could watch Raw and stuff like that. It was during the Attitude Era. She's like, this wrestler named Sable, like she came out and she had like paint on her boobs. And I'm like, that's not WWE. That's not what I grew up on, but I didn't know like it was the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
So then later on, about like 98, 99 was when we got like the cable, and I could watch Nitro and Raw duke it out. And
it was a fun time.
It was pretty funny, like to hear her little recaps, and I'm like, that's not wrestling. What is that?
Yeah, it was a fun time, the Attitude Era.
Oh man, that's cool. So now going back, I was doing a little research, man. I did see, you were an honor student back in school, man.
Was.
What was it like? What was it like being an honor student? Because I was nowhere close. I was a rebel who played by his own rules. So.
It was. I played a lot of sports and did all the AP classes and stuff, and was involved in like all the special programs for the more talented kids and stuff. But I don't know. It was just kind of life at that time. I just kind of did what they told me to do, and then just got like college credit and stuff. But I was mainly like I played basketball and football in high school, so I was more interested in that than like AP courses and college credits and stuff. So I probably should have been more paid attention to more of that stuff at the time, but it was whatever. I just was doing it.
That's cool. Yeah, I was on the wrestling team, and my coaches would always bag on me. They'd be like, "Yeah, we'd worry about you, Rob. With your grades." And I was like, "Yeah." The rest of the year, it's like, then the wrestling season comes around, boom, they go up. Hey, everything that good. The rest of the year, it's like,
I used to run so much because I'm failing like AP calculus, right? And my teammates in basketball is in like, I don't know, basic math or something, like algebra or something. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm failing calculus and I'm running, but they're failing, algebra 1. This is not the same. We are not the same. We should not be running the exact same amount. But yeah, I always felt some type of way about the fact that I'm sitting here running because I'm failing physics and they're failing, whatever, meditation science or something.
there you go. That's right. I had a loophole in my school. If you took 2 ag classes, you didn't have to do a science credit or whatever. You had to do your freshman year, you did, but then after that, if you did 2 ag classes, I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, farm and domesticated animals, horses, greenhouse. Oh man, I'm good. Oh man, so I gotta ask, being around in Texas and stuff, traveling around, man. Like, do you have any crazy travel stories? I know Chupacabra lives around there. Have you ever crossed paths with him, or you're driving down the road, you see Spooky Brothers fight sleeping?
That was probably more my childhood. My neighbors would just scare me to all heights about El Chupacabra. So, God, I've been on. Trying to think if anything stands out in my head. I mean, I've driven. There's some times we went to like 6th Street and in Austin, and Roxy would be with us, and she was like 17 or 18 or whatever. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to 6th Street, but it is wild. I mean, it's kind of similar to Bourbon. There's just like a lot of homeless people, and there's a lot of people drunk and throwing up and bumping into each other and stuff. And
my audio is cutting out. 6th Street, like in Austin, Texas?
Yes.
Dude, like, isn't your everybody there tattooed, bearded, look like they're part of a rock band? I've been there before.
Yes. It's
my
wild.
bad. I didn't
It's
touch
just,
you. No,
it's fine. It's just like it adds to what I'm saying. Like, it's just there's a lot of interesting characters that are on this street partying and having a good time. And, there's this time that we just finished with the show. I think it was Inspire, maybe Sabotage. And we were just like, hey, we're going to go and just go get Voodoo Donuts. It's like right down there on 6th Street. And it was just crazy. There was like fights and ambulances and all kinds of stuff. And like, so I think it was me, Rachel Rose, Q, and one other person. And we kind of built like a little like barrier around Roxy. It's just like, we're going to get through this and we're going to make sure we get on the other side of this war zone. And it was definitely an interesting night. I think someone honked and Rachel just like cussed at him or something like that, ready to fight for Carla's honor. And it was funny. Like I said, it was an interesting night. We got to Voodoo Donuts. We all got our donuts and got out of there safely. So it was an interesting night.
That's awesome, man. Hey, glad y'all made it safely and y'all got some donuts and stuff, man. Hey, that's the most important thing, man. So I gotta ask, before I pass it on back to Remy, I gotta say, thank you for, coming on the show today, chatting with us about, your career and all that good stuff, telling some cool stories, hanging out in Austin, and all that good stuff. I wish you nothing but the best, for all your future endeavors, man. I hope you, your family, friends, and all that, all the positive things happen to y'all, and, y'all do what you, achieve your dreams and all that good stuff, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Kiefer, I just got to say, if nobody has told you this before, well, you're going to hear it for the first time from us here at Ringside Society. If they told you already, well, I guess you're going to hear it for the 1,000th time. Thank you for all the matches and memories that you've given us and have kept on giving and keep on giving us as a wrestler and also a wrestling promoter / owner. We really and truly appreciate it. Thank you. And we actually wish you and New Texas Pro nothing but endless success and happiness in 2023 and beyond as well, too. Where, the Jordan year. And heck, I'll even say it now. We got the Kobe year right afterwards. So we got 2 years of great coming up. So,
it's true.
We got 2 years we can keep on winning. So I hope you guys, make your goals, break your records, and just keep on winning like you did last year.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe we'll see even more people from Louisiana taking that 5-hour trip. Maybe Kathy will get a bunch of people like, oh snap, you're going to New Texas, bro? Take me with you. I'll chip in some gas. You know what I'm saying? We'll go out there. We'll go on a road trip. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully more of that happens for y'all. You know, I like to see people work. We like to see people work hard and, you know, get rewarded for it as well. And I can definitely see that happening for y'all. Y'all are doing it right, doing it great. And, you know, we wish y'all all the best and whatnot in 2023 and beyond as well too. Normally this is the part where I actually ask what your social media links are. But before I do that, we've been talking about Roxy and several other up and comers in Texas that are, you know, doing well and are going to be signed eventually, and that are soon on the brink, possibly on the brink, soon to be on the brink of being signed. But if you could get who do you think for this year we here at Ringside Society should look at to have on the show? I mean, we already talked about Amaris. You know, she's on our radar. We have another incredible young man who I am very happy made his return. I know you know him, the former Connor Crunk, Buzzsaw Samuel.
Buzzsaw. He was on the show this past week.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if people saw it on IWTV, but him trolling Rachel was the funny. Like I could not stop laughing for his entrance. Like it was so genius. Like to come out to the song he came out to, the shirt he wore, everything. Like that was an awesome match.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. So who are the 5 people I think we should look at out of Texas?
I feel like there's a little bit of crossover with our roster with Rowe, but I mean, Hion and Brian Keith, Mysterious Q. There's a kid out of Dallas named Exodus Prime. He just did some extra work for AEW. He's the guy that got powerbombed and flipped on his head, and everyone got all excited about the bump or whatever. He's been on a few of our shows as well. He's a pretty good young kid. I'm trying to think of who else. Maddie Rinkowski out of San Antonio. She's doing some cool things in NWA. She might be another person you might want to check into. ASF out of Laredo. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's a luchador. He's been on a lot of our shows. He wrestled Dante Martin on one of our shows this past year.
Antonio San Francisco. We've had him before.
Oh, you have? Okay, yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, we had Maddie too, and we had Q. We've had
you guys already beat me to the punch. You guys are already having all the good people. Try to get BK on here. He does. I don't know if he does a lot of interviews, but
we're trying to do that too.
Yeah, we're in work talks. See, here's the thing about us, Kiefer. We interview people. We interview everybody. We interview referees. I know you know Isaac Bouillon. We've had him on the show. He's like, but I'm not nothing. I don't know. I'm not really anybody. No, yes, you are somebody. You're the referee in reality wrestling. We want to talk to you. You know, we have had ring announcers. We've even had people that have made years. So, you know, we don't really look at, oh, you're not a wrestler. I mean, if you're part, we always say there's several parts of the wrestling wheel that make it go around, not just wrestlers. Granted, they are the focal points, but there are others that make pro wrestling what it is.
I've got somebody for you then. Interview JJ Blake, because all the time and training that he did with people like AQA and Kylie Ray and Carla and FlyDef and just go down and list a lot of the people who are at Reality Wrestling now or were at Reality Wrestling, and he's probably helped train them from day one or had a big hand in training them. So that, and now we have our own camp and we're training people as well. So that might be somebody that you might want to just talk to and just ask him about his experiences with some of the people he's helped train. And that would probably be an interesting experience.
JJ is a trip right now, especially what he's doing in New Texas Pro.
He's embraced his Texas side.
He embraced Texas. He's the Lone Star champion for New Texas
That's right.
Pro.
He's embraced his Texas side. He is now a full-blown Texan, and he even has a nice little Texas accent that he talks with, and
he somehow adopted.
he's having a lot of fun with that. But he's somebody, again, from, if you want a different perspective from someone who's really helped training a lot of people in this area, he might be somebody that you might want to have a conversation with and just see if he see what you guys can get out of him.
Definitely. And tell that young man that we asked about, Dustin.
Oh yeah, you wait. Hey, you wait. He's a referee now, but he's about to start wrestling, so you guys got to keep an eye on him there too.
Yeah, definitely. But I just got to say, thank you for it's been an honor to have you on here, and a pleasure to have you on here as well too. We really and truly appreciate it. Before we shut this show down, where can fans find you on social media when they want to find out when your next appearance is, when the next New Texas Pro show is, and also where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows as well too?
At Kiefer Bartek Pro on Instagram and Twitter, and if you want to book me, just go on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But most importantly, at New Texas Pro on Instagram, at New Texas PW on Twitter. Go check out our YouTube channel, New Texas Pro Wrestling. Go check out our TikTok, and go check out our Facebook, man. And we're we got some big things coming up, so just get on board and let's go for a ride, man.
That's awesome. So those of y'all heard out there, follow this man on social media. He gave y'all the links. New Texas Pro. If you're in Texas and you're close to New Texas Pro, or if you guy like Kathy and could do that long drive, definitely make it happen like a captain. Head on down to New Texas Pro. So give them all your support. Support indie wrestling, because you never know who's going to be the next superstar coming out of there. You know what I'm saying? Then when you go to WWE or AEW, wherever that person gets signed, and some jabroni's like, oh, I got the new shirt from AEW shop or WWEshop.com. You can be like, man, sit yourself down, man. I got the shirt from when they were on the indies, man. Go somewhere with yourself. It's always a great feeling to support somebody, from the beginning of their journey, and then see them reach the mountaintop and so on. It's always a great feeling. So support indie wrestling. That's where the majority of your AEW, I say 99% of your AEW and WWE and Impact superstars come from. It's definitely a great feeling. With that being said, that is our season premiere right now, season 5. Man, I can't believe I'm throwing up a whole hand. Hopefully, God willingly, I'll be able to throw up both hands and go season 10. But right now, we'll go season 5, like Booker T. And just say, we just want to thank everybody that got us here today. We really and truly appreciate it. Not just to our guests like Kiefer Bartek, but those of y'all that were on 15 Minutes of Fandom, those of y'all that were on Lariats and Legacies, which is our new series that we started, and those of y'all that just followed us and liked us, thank you very much. We really and truly appreciate it. We will keep on doing this for y'all, because we don't just do this for clout. We do this because we're four wrestling passion wrestling fans. Shout out to our Facebook admin, Chris Cartwright, as well. We're 4 passionate wrestling fans that love this business. So we're going to bring y'all some of the best wrestling content that a wrestling podcast can give you. With that being said, it's about time for us to shut this show down. My eyelids are getting heavy and my stomach is rumbling. That means it's time for a nap and dinner. Maybe not in that order, but before I partake in those activities, Rob Bass, the Mel Gibson to my Danny Glover, the Eminem to my Royce the 5'9", and the Paul Wall to my Chameleonaire. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling, find out where your next appearance is, purchase Rob Bass merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows? You're on mute.
Oh, my bad. My thing went out for a second, man. Yeah. All right. If you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Rob_Bass82, Facebook, Rob Bass. And January 14th, 1CW, CCW, we got a show here in Houston. Spelled the same as Houston, but pronounced Houston, Delaware. We got Kylan King, Gabby Ortiz, Rebecca J. Scott, Miles Millennium, and and Ty Awesome are having a rematch for the 1CW Wrestling Championship. Ranchan Carlson, he has a mystery opponent for the 1CW Bulletproof Championship, and the Wonder Kid Brian Morris, he has a mystery opponent for the 1CW Workhorse Championship. So definitely come on out. Tickets are $20, $25, whatever. It starts at 6 o'clock. Doors open at 5. Might have a pre-show or whatever. So bring the whole family. It's family friendly. Come on out, man. Have a good time.
Awesome.
And y'all can boo me. You say the ref sucks.
There you go. Kathy Knight, the money penny to my James Bond, the Tennille to my Captain, and the Pepper Potts to my Tony Stark. I don't know if that's her name. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling, all things Becky Lynch, Paige, and good eating in Louisiana?
So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Discord, all at BLUE70517. And I have one more question for Kiefer. Do you still have those new Texas Pro shirts? Because I want one.
I think we're all sold out of them. But you're the second person to ask me about shirts today, so we're definitely going to be printing new shirts soon. So
awesome. Well, save one for me.
I will.
Awesome. So if y'all want to find me on social media, not that I have anything cool to say, but who knows, maybe you'll hear me say something cool. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Remy Blue. You can also find me on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue, and that's pretty much it right now. I don't have any other social media links. But in regards to our podcast, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. We're on Spotify, and we are also on Teespring, where we have where we sell official Ringside Society merchandise. We have T-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve shirts. We even have coffee mugs for your favorite warm beverage. So definitely check us out. We got a lot of cool stuff there. All proceeds from those sales go back into keeping the show afloat. They don't go back into our pockets. So definitely check us out. Cop some merch. We'd really appreciate it as well too. And last but not least, we're also on YouTube. That's right, where you can actually see a lot of cool interviews like this one, like the one we had with Christina Marie. You can see all of our Lariats and Legacy episodes, and many other great interviews that we've had with talent from Texas and Louisiana, and even here in Brooklyn, New York, Rob's neck of the woods in Delaware, and all around the world. Definitely, check us out. All you gotta do is go on YouTube, type in Ringside Society, and when you see that good-looking dark blue and light blue yin yang sign with the blue flames around it, that's when you know it's us. So make sure you subscribe to all our videos, because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, especially this year, and you don't want to miss a thing like Aerosmith in 1998. But with that being said, we just want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight live. We really and truly appreciate it. 5th season. We are very amazed by our success, and we thank y'all for that. To those y'all that are gonna listen later on when we get a chance, thank you very much in advance. And those y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away, well, like myself at the Golden Corral, Rob Bass at the Taco Festival, and Kathy Knight at Top Cafe Du Monde for the buy one, get one free special, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Come on, Rob.
They hate us because they ain't us.
There you go. And we ain't stopping. With that being said, we just want to let everybody know that we here at Ringside Society are very well and aware that everybody and their grandparents and their parents have a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. We're not just any podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. Hashtag we are not the same. With that being said, Kathy Knight, Rob Bass, one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, one time for season 5 of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society, and one time for new Texas Pro owner, former Reality of Wrestling Tag Team Champion, Sheriff Kiefer Bartek.
Woo!
What type of podcast are we?
All right, 3, 2, 1.
We're the
Wrestling Fans Podcast.
That's right, we're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. Kiefer, I saw that. Good on. Hey, that was good, man. We don't have a lot of guests chime in, but yeah. So the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society, and we'll be back next week with Buzzsaw Samuels. We might have a guest on before him, but just stay tuned. But until then, we just want y'all to do 4 favors for us. Heck, 5 this time. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, party on, dudes, and keep on winning.
I'll put 6 up. We need 5.
There you go.
Yeah, 5.
Was that 5?
That's right.
With that being said, y'all take it. Y'all take care. We out. Peace.
See y'all. Good night. Stay classy, Delaware.
Let the good times roll, Louisiana. Bye.